Hello beautiful people! So the time has finally come, I finally come around to it. Today I'm going to start the How to Move to Norway series. So I'm going to make a couple of videos and a couple of more about how to move to Norway. I'm going to try to make it some sort of like practical guide. At the same time I'm writing it all down. So hopefully I can make like a bit of a manual about it. It has taken me a long time to finally get here, but last week we had to do the first, how do you call it in English, like the yearly taxes. We had to do it for the first time here in Norway, and now after having that done, I feel finally ready to start talking about everything you need to know to move to Norway. This is just like an introduction video, so I'm going to tell you in this video what I'm going to talk about in later videos and in what order I'm going to do it, because I have tried to make it as chronologically as possible, which is not completely possible because you're going to run around in circles at some point anyway. You need some sort of stuff to do other stuff, and then you need this stuff to do that stuff, and it's like a massive circle, and it's really difficult to get in these administrative circles. But anyway, I'm going to try to make it chronologically, so it's a bit logical, as in what you have to do first, what do you have to do second, what can you do back home, what do you have to do when you are already in Norway, and all that kind of fun stuff. Because organizing your emigration or your immigration, it does require some searching work, because it's not always clear. It's not clear in your home country what you have to do before you leave, and it's not clear when you come here what do you all need. It's like the countries are not made for people moving in and out, they are made for people living there. So trying to relocate will come with challenges, but no worries, everything will turn out fine. Even if you do make mistakes along the way, they will get resolved and everything will turn out fine. What I will talk about in later videos, I will also write in the description below about all the things I will talk about in later videos. Probably that list is going to change, so the things I write in there first, I'm probably going to go back later and change it up because I want to add chapters, or I want to take something out, I want to merge something or whatever. So it's going to change up a little bit probably along the months. Because I'm not going to do this in a few weeks. It's going to take me a while before I get everything covered. But what I want to ask you before I get into anything, go to the list below, look what I'm going to talk about, and if you have questions, any questions at all for me that you would like me to cover in these coming videos, please ask them below. I will not answer them in the comments, I will give them a like that I read them, but I will try to include them in later videos. So if you would go and do that, that would be so helpful for me as well, so then I would know what to talk about or what things I can't forget in any of these videos. So what I will start with in this video is why. Even if this is not a practical step, it is, I think, the most important step you can ever take before you even start actually planning your relocation. It is asking yourself why. What will moving to Norway do for me? What do I hope to achieve? So that is something I will talk about, I will cover in this video later on. And in the videos coming after, I will talk about more practical steps. So the first practical step is, of course, learning the language, if you have not figured it out already. So you can start with that now, like now, because you need to learn Norwegian. How I went about learning Norwegian, what my current status of speaking Norwegian is, because but it is very, very important, so it deserves its own video. How to learn Norwegian, why to learn Norwegian, why do you need it, what will it give to you when you are here, how many doors will it open for you. So I will also talk about how do you find a place to rent before you move, how do you find your first rental house or rental apartment, how do you find your first job, Do you find your first job after coming into Norway, and do you find it here? Can you find it before you move? And then of course, how do you find a second job? You have a nice degree and you want to work with that degree, then how do you do that? Then it's maybe also a very good idea to talk about the actual move. Like, how do you take up your furniture if you want to take it and bring it to another country? How do you take your pets with you? What's the thing with cars? Because importing cars, it's apparently a very difficult and pricey thing. So that deserves its own video as well. And then I think maybe the most important thing is getting your Norwegian identification number. You have 2 different options there. How do you get them? What are the differences? And then once you have acquired those, then you can get a telephone number and a bank account, because you need those 2 for literally everything in Norway. So it might take a while to get in this loop of having an identity number and then getting a phone number and bank account, and because you need one thing to get the other and the other way around, so it's a bit difficult. Once you have done these steps, congratulations, because the hard part is over. But after that, the real fun begins. Like, how do you buy stuff? Like, how do you buy a house like we did? How do you buy a car? And then of course, how does the national welfare system work? What are the differences between being employed and being self-employed? What happens when you get sick? What happens when you get old? And then of course, I think it will be very fun to talk about some integration tips, because if you move to another country, you kind of merge your own culture with the culture of Norway. So it's kind of fun how you do that, how you go about of taking a bit of habits from Norway while not completely forgetting your own. How do you integrate with the people here? How do you make friends? Because it's something of a thing, right? And it's very difficult to make Nordic or Scandinavian friends. So how do you make them? I also want to give a quick disclaimer, because these videos will obviously be from the point of view of someone from Belgium moving to Norway. However, if you're coming from any European country, the process will be more or less the same. The only thing that might be slightly different is the things you have to do in your home country before you move. But then, even then, the general idea behind it will be kind of the same. If you're coming from outside of the European Union, you might still get useful tips here. It will probably be a bit more difficult for you. And then now I would love to talk to you about why you should move or you shouldn't move to Norway. I think it is a very important step to figure out what your reasons are. What do you want? What do you want? Because if you are someone who's looking to relocate to Norway or to relocate to any country, that means you are asking yourself questions. What do I want in life? What do I not want in life? What kind of life fits me? Whether or not you're conscious of it or not, I think these questions are somewhere in your head when you're thinking about relocation. So it is very important to try and narrow it down. What do you hope to achieve by moving to Norway? Because I can guarantee you, just running away from everything in your home country and hoping to start fresh anew in a new country, it is not going to work. You cannot run away from your internal mess, okay? You're going to take it with you. Relocating, however, can help you find peace in whoever person you are. Because maybe you even have like this idea in your head, maybe even aesthetic, like I want to live like this and this, and I want to this and this, and you have this clear image in your head of, oh, this would be an amazing life. And then you probably have some inspirations online as well, right? So you see all these people living in the middle of the nature in a beautiful house or a beautiful cabin, and they have this inspirational dream job, or you don't even know how they made their money. They just happen to live in this fairy tale-esque kind of place, being all beautiful and living with all these beautiful surroundings and living your dream. I want to remind you that also your inspirations, they did not just pop out of the ground there. They also had a long way before they even took their first step in living where they live. So even before taking your first physical or first practical step towards relocations, there are so many long years that can go before it that you don't see. And most of the time these inspirations of yours, they just moved to the countryside of their own country, which is so much easier than relocating to another country. So just give yourself time, give yourself the space to figure it out, and try to enjoy the way towards it. Because you will always want something more, you're always going to come something after. So try to give yourself time and enjoy the ride. Maybe it's very simple for you, or it seems like it's very simple for you. And maybe you even just like the way the Nordic countries are run. Maybe you like how the political and social system in Norway works. Maybe you just think that's more attractive than the way your home country is run. Maybe it's just as simple as that. Or maybe you just traveled to Norway and you fell in love with it. Maybe you have never been here even, and you have this inexplicable feeling like inside of you, oh, like Norway is a place for me, and you can't really explain why. I think it can maybe be boiled down to two main reasons. Like, you are feeling like you have surplus in your life of certain things, and then you also feel like you have a lack of other things in your life. A surplus of things, it can be that there's too much pressure on you socially back home. You have a much too filled up calendar. It's a bit contradictory now in COVID times. But maybe you feel like you have to do so much things. You have to work, and then you have to have hobbies, and then you have friends and family, and your calendar is just completely filled up with social events. And it just drains you, and you can't say no because you don't dare to say no. Maybe you feel that the society where you live in now is too much work-oriented. Maybe you feel like, if I want to be a respectful, good person in my country, I have to work. Maybe that's too much for you. Maybe you have a really good idea of something you want to start, like a business, or you want to open a place of your own, but because there are so many people around you, everyone has done your idea 10-20 times, so maybe that's a good reason. Maybe that's too much in your life. You have no space to do your own thing because everybody is doing your thing. Those can be examples of things that you have too much in your life. Try to write this down. Try to write down what is too much in your life, what you have too much of. And then the second big group of reasons you can have is because you lack certain things. What do you lack? Is it nature? Is it just nature? Do you lack contact with nature? That's a good reason. But you can also just feel that you lack a sense of belonging. You feel like you don't belong in the society or the atmosphere of the country you are currently living in. You lack a certain purpose. You lack a certain drive to get out of bed in the morning. You have a lack of inspiration. You can feel like you lack so many things, but maybe if you boil it down, it can be that you just have a lack of belonging. You have a desire to feel like you fit in somewhere, like you can it's just so much easier to be you. And that can be a good reason why you're attracted to Norway. Maybe you think that the atmosphere and the society and the nature and the surroundings here in Norway will give you a much better decor for just being who you are. And just expressing yourself more, or going into the direction that you want to express yourself in. That can be a very good reason. Try to also write it on your list. What do you lack? And try to boil it down. Like, if you feel like I lack nature, then you should ask yourself, why do you feel like you lack nature? Do you feel like you lack nature because you like to have the space and the time and the surroundings to come to peace? Do you need that? Do you need every day to just reset and to get all the... Because if you're an empath like me, it's very easy to take up all the energies of the people and what's happening around you. And then if you go to nature, it can be easy to just let it go and to come back to yourself. Is that the reason you like to have more nature around you? then maybe you can go in another way around it, you see. Maybe you can protect yourself of getting all these energies from all these stressful people and stressful events around you. So there is not just one way in getting what you want. I'm not very good at explaining this, but I want you to make a list, actually. It's the third time I say it in this video, and I also don't like to make lists, but please make a list. What do you have too much of and what do you lack? And then try to boil it down. If you feel like you have a surplus of certain thing, why does it feel too much? And what is it actually that you have too much of? If you feel like you have a lack of something, why do you feel like you're lacking it? And what exactly is it? Like, try to boil it down to its core. And once you have established kind of what you miss and what you have too much of, you can try to find solutions. You can try to find, like, for every lack and for every surplus you have in your life, you can try and write next to it, why would move to Norway, why would my life in Norway solve this issue? But I also want to think about, could I solve this issue while staying in the country that I live in? Because oftentimes if you're searching and looking in your life of where to go and should I stay and what should I do, then you maybe feel powerless. You maybe feel a bit out of control, like you're not the one who makes all the choices in your life. You feel like you're somewhat lived by other people. You feel a bit powerless. And with doing this exercise also, by trying to solve the issues that you have in your home country, it will give you your power back. You don't have to do it, just do the exercise in your head. Like, if you feel socially worn out, I would just drastically reduce the time I see my friends. That's a solution, right? But you might not feel comfortable with that, because you fear maybe that you give them the message that you don't like them. And if you move to Norway and you wouldn't see them because of the distance, you would feel less guilty about it. And so try to, for everything you lack and you have too much of, figure out how that your life in Norway would solve this issue. Also, if you feel like you live in a much too work-oriented society, here in Norway there's much more focus on quality time and family time and relaxation time than there is on work here in Norway. So if you just move to Norway, you will find yourself in a less work-oriented society and you will meet this lack and the surplus of yourself this way. But try to really think about it. Because sometimes people may have an idea, oh, I will move to Norway and I will do this and my life will be perfect. For example, what I hear that people can make a mistake with is that they have this association in their mind. So they traveling to Norway, or they are traveling in a place where there's so much nature and there's forests and there's mountains, and every time they go there they have this association in their mind of, oh, I feel so good, I have such a good time. Or maybe you're visiting all these amazing hotels and B&Bs while you're traveling and you think, oh, I feel so good here, I would love to have this all the time. It would be a good idea to have my own place here in this country. And then they do that and then they figure out that they have to work all the time. So everybody is constantly on holidays and they are stuck in their hotel, working all the time, never can take time off to actually enjoy the country, and they're left with the same feeling as they did in their home country. So even if you have a clear idea of where you want to go and what you want to do, try to challenge it. Try to really challenge it and say, okay, how do I want to feel? How do I want to feel? How do I want my days to look like? And then see if your original idea really meets the needs you have. Try not to fool yourself. I mean, it's a very good learning school. You can make all the mistakes you want and you can be much smarter afterwards and you can have a really interesting journey. But if you want to make it yourself a little bit easier, try to challenge the ideas you have. Try to really unpack what it is you want. Try to boil it down to its absolute core about how do you want to feel, and then you might discover that there's not one way to feel the way you want to feel. There can be many ways towards it. And it might be a bit counterintuitive for me to tell you that you could probably solve your issues in your own country, but you can. You probably can. You probably can solve all your issues. You can probably meet all your needs in your own country. You just have to do some crazy stuff. Maybe you just have to move to a different side of the country. Maybe you have to go to school again. Maybe you just have to get over it that you don't fit in with the way things are done in your country and just have to go your own way. Maybe you have to be strong like that. There are probably many ways in which you can meet your needs in your own country. But I will also be the first person to tell you that maybe you don't have to. Maybe if you move to Norway, you will find yourself in a surrounding, in a decor, in an atmosphere that makes it much easier for you, that makes it feel so much more natural for you to be the way you are and do the things you want to do. The only thing I want to tell you is you are not powerless. You have all the power in your life. You can make all the choices you want. It is just you have to think about what consequences do I want to take with those choices and which consequences do I not want to take with those choices that I make. You have to figure out what do you think is more important. Maybe you think, oh, this is the thing I want, but actually you find the consequence much more important than the thing you want. You just tell yourself, oh, I can't have what I want, but you forget that it is actually you making a choice. So before really taking your first practical step, figure out what do you want to achieve. I can't do it for you. There are a million reasons why you would want to move to Norway. There are a million things you want to change in your life. But try to figure out why and what it is you want. And also try to figure out what are the consequences of the things you want and what do you think is most important. And then you can maybe feel more powerful. You can feel like I have the choice in my life. I can choose to stay here and solve my problems here, or I can choose to move to Norway and solve my problems there. The choice is yours, that's my point. But if you're not really sure what it is you want, your journey might be a lot longer than it needs to be, and it might be a lot more difficult than it needs to be, because you might take all these side routes. I have taken a ton of side routes. There's nothing wrong with that, you learn from them. But if there is one thing I've learned so far is, if you think you want something, try to figure out, yes, but if I have this thing, how do I think I will feel? Because how you think you will feel is actually what you want, and there are so many ways you can achieve that feeling. Many more than you can imagine. And I can also tell you that changing your environment will change your mental space as well. You just cannot move and live the exact same life as you did before. You will change inside and outside. There is no way around it. And it's a wonderful journey. That's all for this a bit weird video. And I'm not really sure if I have gotten my message across to you, because I feel like I have just been rambling about nothing really concrete. And it's all been very vague. So I hope you have gotten any kind of message about the why and the not why and the how. So thank you for, if you are still here, wow, if you're still here, thank you so much for listening to me telling you how you should go about trying to figure out what you feel. I look forward to make the other videos about the actual practical steps towards how can I move to Norway, which will be a lot more interesting than this video was. However, I do think that what I talked about just now is the most important step you can take. So again, go to the list in the description of this video, see what I'm going to talk about in further videos. And if you have any questions, please leave them below and I will try to include them in my How to Move to Norway video series. Thank you for being here, and I will see you again very soon. Bye bye.